In this video, I'm going to talk about application lifecycle management within managed environment. Now, what is ALM? ALM is application lifecycle management. It's a lifecycle management for your source code. So if you want to move your source code from dev to test to prod, you can make use of the application lifecycle management, and then that will help you develop the solutions in your dev environment. And at the same time, if everything succeeds, you can easily push that code into the production environment. Managed environment is a feature of Power Platform. So managed environment is a suite of premium capabilities that allows an admin to manage Power Platform at scale with more control. So more control is given to the admin with less effort, and you get a lot of insights within the Power Platform environment if that environment is classified as managed environments. Pipeline. Pipeline is a system of automated processes designed to quickly and accurately move the new code or updates to the code from dev to test to prod. Okay. Now, pipelines simplify the ALM process within the Power Platform environment. Now, remember, if you want to perform ALM for the managed environments, make sure all your environments are of managed type. Okay, so if dev environment is managed and stage is unmanaged, or I'd say like not managed, then it won't work. So all the environment should be of managed environment type. Pipelines simplify the ALM process. It provides deployment automation capability. Now, apart from the say host environment, uh, like everyone has a dev, a stage, and a prod environment, right? So they move from dev to stage to prod, right? Or dev to UAT to prod, or dev to test or sit to prod. Okay. Now, in order to control all this, you need to have another separate environment, which I call it as a host environment. Okay, so you need to have this host environment. Now, the host environment will control all the pipelines, and then it will move the data from dev to stage to prod. Okay, now this host environment need not be a managed environment. Okay, so that's fine if it's a normal environment. This environment basically acts as a storage and a management layer for the pipeline. Okay, multiple host environments can be provisioned, so you can have one host, you can have two hosts, three hosts catering to different pipelines, so that is possible. Host environment need not be a managed environment, and host environments can be multiple host environments can be provisioned. Now the participating environment need to be a managed environment, so all this dev, stage, and prod need to be managed environment. Then and the next step is to like grant access to the pipeline users, and then these are set of rules, which is like a deployment pipeline user and deployment pipeline administrator. The administrator will have full control for all the pipeline configuration, and deployment pipeline user can run the pipeline. Now these rules which I have defined over here is of this host environment. Okay, so host environment controls the pipeline. Now I'm going to show you in action, but to make all this thing very clear. Okay, so uh, let's move on to see the process actually. Now the process is, first you need to have a prerequisite defined. Okay, so you need to have prerequisite. Make sure you have an isolated environment for dev, test, and prod. Okay, that is the first requirement. Grab the environment id, GUID. Create a new environment for hosting Power Platform. Make sure this environment resides in the same location. Now this is also one of the criteria, that dev, test, and prod should be in that same location, and at the same time the host environment should also needs to be in the same location. Then install Dynamics 365 app Power Platform pipeline. Now this you need to do in the host environment. Okay, navigate to the host environment using make.powerapps.com. Open the app deployment pipeline configuration. Configure the deployment pipeline configuration app. Now, you need to grab environment ID for all your environments, and then create that environment reference in deployment pipeline config app. Wait for the validation to succeed, and then create a pipeline. And within the pipeline, you need to specify the linked environment, and you can then add deployment stages to the pipeline. Now, once you do all this configuration, you can share this deployment pipeline with the user, and then the user, without even having an admin rights, they can execute the pipeline. So this is all I'm going to show you in the demo. Now, if you see over here in the environments, I have, I have created this environment over here. So let me show you the environment. And this is the environment which I have. So if I type ALM, I see I have a dev, I have a test, I have a prod, and then I have a separate ALM pipeline host. All this are sandbox environment. You can create a production environment if you desire. Now you need to go into each and every environment and then copy this environment ID, because this is important for us to configure in the application. Once that is done, you need to then go into the ALM pipeline host environment. Like if you go into the environment and go to ALM pipeline host environment, which will host the pipeline, navigate to resources and Dynamics 365 app. Okay. In the search box, type pipeline. The moment you type pipeline, you will see this option, Power Platform Pipelines. Now, for me, it is installed because I've already installed ahead of time. For you, it might come as to install, or it is not installed. So then you can click over here and then install this or configure this particular application. Once this application is installed in the host environment, now remember this has to be done in the host environment, then you can open this application by navigating to make.powerapps.com. So I'll show you how to navigate. So you can navigate to make.powerapps.com. Okay. And yeah, once you are in this particular environment, ALM pipeline host, you can see under apps, there's a deployment pipeline configuration app. It's a model driven app, and you need to open this app. So let me open this app, and I've already opened this app. So I will show you what this app looks like. Now this app, initially it will be blank, but I have already played around in this app. So that's why you see a lot of things going around here. Now, just to read this app, it says pipeline is a feature of managed environment. So again, all the environments needs to be in a managed environment. Now, if I click on environment, now this is the first step you need to do. You need to specify what all environments you have, the participating environments. Now here I have Giri Dev, Giri Prod, Giri Test. Now how to add this? First thing you click on new, and then you put the environment name. Okay, so maybe I'll just say uh, my dev. Okay, environment type, yes, it is a development environment. What is the environment ID? Now I told you that you need to copy it from here. Okay, environment ID for the dev. Okay, I copy this, and then I will put some description if I want, and then I save it. Now I'm not going to save it now because I've already saved this as a dev environment, but this is how you can do. Now this is for the development environment. Okay, now let me discard this change, and then let me show you for how you do it for say test or UAT environment. Okay, now for test or UAT environment, again you need to select target environment over here, because this won't be a development environment. So any environment apart from dev will be a target environment. So if it's a UAT environment, if you call it as a stage environment, if you call it as a SIT environment, or if you call it as a test environment, those all things will be a target environment. And again, the same step, you need to copy the environment ID and then save it. Now let's assume you have defined all these things. You have dev, prod, and test. Now once you create it, the validation status will be in process, but then eventually it will may be succeeded if the ID is defined correctly. Okay, now once you're done with this, your environment is set. You need to go into pipelines. Now here in pipeline, you need to create a pipeline. Okay, so now I've created a couple of pipelines, but I can show you how to create a new one. Okay, you just create a new, and then you say this pipeline is for maybe for Queensland. Okay, QLD. Okay, so this is just one example. Okay, and then you can put some description over here, and don't make any changes. Just click on save. Now we have created pipeline for QLD. Now you need to link the development environment first. Okay, now which is your development environment? You can create a new development environment from here, but we won't create because we already have created it. We just say add existing uh, environment, and I'll select the dev environment and I click add. Okay, and then save this. So deployment pipeline, we have created a pipeline, we have added a link development environment. Now we need to add the deployment stages. Okay. Now here, if I go to deployment stages, I'll click on new deployment stage, and then I will start adding the stages. Now remember, again, from a diagram perspective, this is a dev environment. Okay, so all the changes development will happen over here. So this is kind of like a source environment, and the target environment will be your test environment. Okay, and your target environment would be your production environment. Okay, so this is a test environment, this is a production environment. So this one, you make all the changes over here. So now, if you want to configure the deployment stage, so this is, let's say, stage one, and then this is stage two. Now, for stage one, there is no previous specific stage. You just say that the you need to deploy something from dev to test. Okay, so you need to have the target test ID. Okay, so first, when you configure the stage one, you just specify the test ID. But when you configure the second stage, you need to specify the prod ID, as well as you need to specify what is the previous stage. Okay, so I'll show you what I meant for that. Now here, if I say new deployment stages, you know, uh, so for this particular pipeline, I need to add a new deployment stage. Okay, now this new deployment stage, let me open this here. Here I need to specify what is the, like it's a description, what is the name of it. Now I'll say dev to stage. Okay, and here previous deployment stage, there is no previous deployment stage. However, target deployment environment IDs, where are you going to put it? So you're going to put it in a stage environment, so which we have already specified, which is kind of a test for us. Okay, so get it test environment, and then we save this. Okay, so there is no more changes, just one change. Okay, now save and close. Now here we have dev to stage. Now we will add one more stage, which we'll call it as stage to prod. Now here again, target development environment is the prod environment, so we'll select the prod environment. But here we need to specify the previous development stage, which is the dev to stage, which we have just created. Okay, and I will save this. Now our stages are ready. Save and close. Now if you inspect the pipeline, for this pipeline for QLD, we have link dev environment, and we have deployment stages. So we have dev to stage, stage to prod. Okay, so everything is set. Okay, now what do we do with this? Okay, now let's go into your dev environment first. Okay, so I'm in the dev environment. Let me go into the dev environment. Let me create one solution. Okay, now let me create a solution, and the solution name is a QLD app. Okay, and I'll select a default publisher, and I'll create this solution. Now here, once I create a solution, I won't create any app over here. I'll just add an existing app. Maybe just uh, add existing table rather, and I'll add account and activity and address. Okay, just for demonstration purpose, I'll add this. So let's assume this is your solution, which has apps, flows, reports, and all those sort of entities. And you just publish all the customization, and this your solution is ready. On the left hand side, you may see something called as a pipelines. Okay, now if you click on pipeline, under pipeline you will see the pipelines for which this particular uh, say environment is configured. Now why we are seeing pipeline for QLD over here? Because we have made this setting over here, right? We have, if you go to pipeline for QLD, we have configured this dev environment, link dev environment. Let's assume if I don't have this link dev environment. Okay, let me remove this environment. Okay, now this pipeline is not attached to this environment. Now if you go into the solution, now you see three options, right? If I refresh this, you only see two options. So that means what it indicates, this particular pipeline is not attached to the environment. So again, this is a very important step. What you need to do, you need to have an environment linked, the dev environment link, and then only this pipeline will be visible. So this is also some of the mistakes which I've seen being committed by the developers, that they don't see this environment over here, the pipeline over here, and then they keep on pondering what's happening. So you need to link the dev environment to this pipeline. Now, once you have this pipeline defined, the next step is, you saw this dev to stage and stage to prod. Now, from where it is coming? It is coming from here. If you go to pipeline for QLD, these are the deployment stages. Okay. Now, these are the corresponding deployment stages in the solution over here. And next step is simple. What you need to do, you need to click on deploy here, and then you can say you are moving from dev to stage. Now, whether you want to deploy it now or some later date or time. Okay, let me do it now. It might take a while, so let me deploy the solution. Once you deploy the solution, it will first start validating this, and you can see the result over here. In say pipeline, you can see in run history. Now in the run history, pipeline for QLD is still validating. Okay, now I think it's now validated. So let me refresh this. And if you see the run history, it will say validation is successful. Okay. Now I'm happy with it. I'm okay with the version number. I put some deployment notes if I want to. If not, go ahead and deploy. It will deploy this 1.0.0.1 solution from dev to stage. And then you can confirm whether that solution has been migrated or not. So we can again, like go back to ALM test, and then under ALM test, you can go into the solutions and then view whether the solution is there or not. Now, technically, if the migration succeed, then the QLD solution should come over here, but it hasn't come because it is still deploying. Yeah, now as you see, the solution is deployed from dev to stage, and this is the last successfully installed version. Let us confirm that. Going into ALM test, let me refresh this. We don't see QLD app over here. And once I refresh the screen, you should see this QLD app. So now this has come from dev to test. Now the next step, what we are going to do is we are going to take this dev to stage and then put it stage to prod. So let's click here, deploy here. Now again, same options, but selection is stage to prod. Deployment schedule is now or later. I'll say now, and then now deploy the solution from the test or the stage environment to the prod environment. It will first validate. If all the validation is successful, then it will start moving the solution from stage to prod. And we can put the deployment notes. Let me deploy this. Okay, so it will start the deployment process. Now, till the time it deploys, let me walk you through what's happening within the run history. Okay, so let me refresh this. It will show me the run history as dev to stage is succeeded, stage to prod is currently deploying. Okay, and you can also view the run history on the left hand side in deployments. Here also you will see how many runs were succeeded, how many of them have failed, what it is deploying, and then you can see other things as well. So in solution artifacts, you can see the actual artifact like the QLD app artifact. So it will show you the managed as well as the unmanaged artifacts, and you can even download from here. So this is that artifact which the solution which we deployed from dev to test, and then you get those managed and unmanaged zip, and you get a nice bit of information on the auditing trail on when the solution was deployed. Under deployment information, you will see some more information. Okay, uh, so let's wait for this deployment to complete. Yes, as you see over here, now the stage to prod deployment is complete. In order to verify this, we need to go into the ALM prod environment. So let me go into the ALM prod environment and see whether the solution has been deployed or not. And as you see here, QLD app is deployed 1 minute ago. So that means like we have completed scripted the successful completion of the pipeline execution from dev to stage to prod. Okay. And then, like, you can deploy into various other locations as well. I've just taken three examples as of now, but you can put it in multiple environments, just to test how your solution is behaving. Now you can see all the pipelines dashboard as well, like, but I'm going to cover this in my another video. But for time being, I think that's it. This is how you create a managed ALM pipeline, managed environments ALM pipeline, to move your solution from dev to test to prod. Thanks for watching.